Morning everybody, I'm Shannon. I'm the president of American Mining Rights Association, and we're here on 4 contiguous claims that we have outside of Coulterville, California at the last outing of the year, and we're going to talk about old ground that we found in this claim and how you find that or undisturbed ground that's loaded full of gold that the old timers missed, and we'll show you how we found that. But before we get to there, I want to encourage you guys to check us out on AmericanMiningRights.com and under Facebook under American Mining Rights. Guys, we're out there fighting every day for you as far as trying to keep the public lands open. So people like fishermen, hunters, hikers, you know, four-wheelers, small miners, we're trying to keep those roads open. And as a matter of fact, we got a fight right now with the Forest Service in a couple of different areas over all of these gates. So anyway, keep up in touch with us and follow what we're doing, and just know that we could use your support. So anyway, we're here on 4 contiguous claims, like I say, that we've got here. And this particular area was mined back in the 1850s and the 1860s. And what we found yesterday is these guys didn't get it all. And we want to explain why we found this undisturbed old ground, and we'll show you the areas that these guys worked and the placer mounds that they made and everything else. So anyway, we're going to run downstream here. We're going to walk you down the creek so you can see the mounding and what they dug and how they worked the placer. And then we'll explain why we found the gold-rich ground that we did yesterday. Which, by the way, guys, we pulled about 1 gram of gold out of maybe 1/4 of a bucket of material. These are the same claims that you guys get access to. Small donation that's tax deductible. You get access to all of the claims that we've got in Arizona, Idaho. I think we've got 25 claims just in California now. So, but anyway, go check us out and let's go show you what we got down here.
Down there ain't like you and me. They never seem to have...
So guys, we're about maybe, I'm going to say 200 yards down from where the campground is, and where we had our banner and the raffle items and all that stuff. But I want you to look at something in the background here. This old oak tree's been down for probably, I'm going to say 20 years. And you can kind of tell that it's been rotted up a little bit, but that's a blowdown. And what happened is all those roots kicked out of the ground. Anytime you see a really old tree like this, and I'm going to say that tree is probably 160 years old, always go to those roots immediately and look. And if you see rounded river rock in there, that's awesome. That's what you want to see. Unfortunately for this tree right here, we've already checked that out, and all that's in there is basically really square, jagged pieces of bedrock. So there is no cobble. So that's right up out of the flat that we're in, which is the creek bed. And as it starts to go up the hill, that's typically what they would do, is they would work these big flats in here in these creeks. But those tertiary deposits will actually extend up the side of the hill. So, and what you're going to see down here when we go and look at the old ground, when we saw that, we immediately went up there, because had we found rounded river rock gravel that's been washed down a water course, we probably would have dug there, or at least dug out the tree roots. So just remember that. It's something to really look at. But I want to explain a little bit about this area here. where we're at, the creek is right behind Brett here, who's on the camera, and it's maybe 75 yards, and about 90 yards away is where the hillside goes back up the other side. And as you can see, it starts to go up this side. So what they did is they came in here, and we're going to show you the little diversion ditches that they did, is they routed the water out of the creek and around because they had to empty out or dry out the creek bed so they could dig in it. Well, we had to edit a little bit out there. We had some camera issues with the batteries, but that oak tree is right behind me. What I was trying to point out here is that they diverted the water out of the main channel of the creek and send it around here, and then they typically would make little cuts that would go back to where they were digging, and that's where they would run their long toms. Now, another thing too, guys, is always remember that in 1850, 1860, 1870, their idea of a sluice box wasn't like what you could buy at Proline. It's a board that had little slats nailed across it, and that was what they used to trap the gold. So probably 50% of the gold that ran through the long toms went right out the back. So if you find those cuts going back over to the creek bed, that's a really good area to dig in. Brandon Reinhardt will attest to that. We were up there just a couple of months ago on his claim on the Feather, and he was digging right where one of those cuts came in, and Brandon found all kinds of gold. He's a good miner, by the way. But anyway, right behind me here is, you'll see we're actually standing in one of those cuts. Where this creek was back in 1860, we don't know. It could have been over at that side of the bank or 75 yards over there. All we see is all these diversions going through here. But keep in mind, when they came here, these guys were somewhat lazy. So they would, what we call gut punch. They'll gut punch the creek, the heart of the bed of the creek where all the real big gold was, and they'll throw all those rocks up. So this mound right here could very well be something that they threw up there and buried virgin ground. The only way to determine that is to actually punch a hole all the way down to bedrock, and then see if you find that concretized, really mineralized orange and black hard pack material that's very, very gold laden. So anyway, we're going to walk right down here to the creek, and we'll show you that old ground that we found and where we found it. So let's head down there. So we've only come about maybe 100 yards, and I don't know if you can see this right behind me here, behind this big dog, is a mound. This is another one of the cuts, because I can see the creek actually flows this way. This cut comes this way, so they probably diverted the water back through here and ran their long tom somewhere in here when they diverted the water around it. But off to my left here, about maybe 40 yards, is the hillside that goes up. So anyway, we got the hillside that goes up on this side, and it's about 40 yards away. And about 80 yards over where that oak tree was is where the other side goes up. So it's a pretty wide flat in here. It's a big placer deposit. So anyway, what we did, and we'll walk you over here, is we were walking up and down the creek here and went right over to where the hillside went up on the side of the bank. And we just punched a hole right there in the side of the hill and instantly found old ground, that really concretized orange, what we call orange juice, hard packed material that was gold laden. So what they did is, what that tells us is they dug out the flat down here, but they never chased it up the side of the hill. That's what I would encourage you guys to do. Even if there's a lot of evidence of mining back in the 1850s, 1910s, 20s, the 60s, the 80s, whatever it was, is go over to where those hillsides start to climb up, because those deposits will actually extend up the bank of these hills a little ways. So punch in. It's a lot easier to dig a hole there than it is a 10-foot hole here. Punch in there and then see if you can expose that hard ground. If you can, chase it down where it hits bedrock, and that's the gold that you're looking for. That's where it concentrates. So let's run over here and let's show you this old ground. So this is where the creek is, and the bank is 15 feet from me. Creek flows down here. They gut punched this. They got all the good stuff. As a matter of fact, we know that there was a 4-inch dredge that worked in here maybe 10, 15 years ago. But what caught our eye is when we were walking up the stream, and we're going to pan over here and show you, is this old ground. And we've got some of our AMRA board members that are over here excavating this stuff where we found all that gold yesterday. But let me show you this. This is really interesting. We've taken out about this much material so far, But I mean, you can see here's ferns and everything. This is the original soil, but this is on the surface. So I mean, I can't even get these small rocks out of here. But this is that concretized material, and you can see that's a very rounded river rock that's way up out of the creek bed. So it is that old material. You can see how dark it is, how red it is. That's very iron rich. And you know, they say gold rides an iron horse. Well, there's your proof of it. So anyway, this is something to look for, guys. And we're going to make this a short video. But when you're in these creek beds, go to these banks where the walls go up. Punch a hole in the side. Heck of a lot easier to punch a hole here than like over there.
I was born and raised in California. Spent a little time in Hollywood. Folks down there ain't like you and me. They never seem to have enough time. Too busy living to live life right. It's always on to the next big thing. And up in that city by the bay, you couldn't pay me enough to stay. I never got what the big deal was anyway. That's not where I call home. I need a little room to roam. I guess that big city life just ain't the life for me. Let me tell you about where I come from. Now we got small towns and farmland, folks who still make a living with their hands. Where I come from, a man is still a man. Where I live, people know your name. They ask how you've been, and they're always glad you came. You can sit down just to talk about old times. That's my California. I still see friends from school, and I think about the things we used to do. Man, those were the good old days. We couldn't wait for summer to come. We'd head out when the chores were all done. Running.
Hope you learned something. If you've got any questions about this, or mining rights, or public lands, or anything, shoot us an email from our AmericanMiningRights.com website, and make sure you check us out on Facebook. So, anyway, we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you learned something. Give us some feedback, and we'll shoot a video for you. Anyway, my name's Shannon, American Mining Rights. Let's get out and get some gold.
Sometimes we just lay back and watch the stars with